Hello and welcome to the techniques used in Scallops du Jour. Here is the bottom of our Scallops du Jour shawl, and here's the schematic that we will be using. Now there are a couple of places that require you to cast on stitches, and the first place is with your very first scallop, number 1, and we cast on stitches on the bottom here. Thereafter, all the other scallops are hitched modularly, except for the side ones, which need to have a cast on here on the right hand side, picked up here, and conversely on the left hand side the stitches are picked up first and then cast on. And the cast on of choice used for this particular shawl is the cable edge cast on. And cable edge cast on begins with a slip stitch on the needle. For the first stitch you go into the stitch knitwise, wrap your yarn around, and instead of finishing the stitch, you pull up a loop from the bottom. You go into that loop from bottom to top and place it on the left-hand needle. Hereafter, the right-hand needle goes in between the two stitches perpendicularly, and the technique is the same. Wrap around, pull up a loop, go into the loop from bottom to top. And now I'll show it with the yarn in my left hand. In between the stitches perpendicularly, yarn around the needle, pull up a loop, into the loop from bottom to top. Now, when we cast on the right hand side, we cast on 24 stitches in this manner, cable edge. Once 24 stitches are on the needle, we turn this needle around and we take our scallop and we start picking up stitches from the bottom of scallop number 1, from the bottom to the top. And when we pick up stitches, we go into each chain edge under both of the loops of the chained edge. We wrap the yarn around the needle and knit up a stitch. Here's our second chain edge under both the loops, 2 of them, yarn around, pick up a stitch, and we continue all the ways up the side of the scallop, not including the stitch that is held on the top of scallop number 1. So cast on 24 stitches here, pick up and knit 23. When we go to do the left hand side, we first pick up 23 and then we cast on 24. When working the finishing scallops on the Scallops du Jour shawl, you will need to do a rather unusual technique, which is making a yarn over onto your right hand needle before you turn for your short row. So we're going to do a couple of stitches into this row so I can show you that technique. And I have my knitting set up in knit 2 purl 2, just like it would be for your finishing scallop. So I'm going to get to this part of my row, and it tells you then to turn your work. Notice we haven't finished the whole row, hence it's a short row. We turn our work, and now in order to continue working back across these stitches, we need to do a yarn over the right hand needle. And it may seem mysteriously complicated, but all it is the yarn goes over the right hand needle, and then you just work your next stitch, which in this case is a knit stitch. And so see, you have your yarn over here, and then you continue with your row. Now I'll do another one for you. If a pattern says to turn here, so I'm not working the complete row, I turn the needles, and then I work a yarn over the right hand needle. Now my next stitch is a knit stitch, but if it were a purl stitch, in order to make it a purl stitch, the yarn still goes over the right hand needle, but it then needs to come to the front, and then you can work a purl stitch like that, and your yarn over looks exactly the same as it looked before a knit stitch. So let's do one more, and I'm totally out of pattern here, but it doesn't matter. So we're going to turn, okay, yarn over right hand needle. It's exactly what it says in English, yarn over the right hand needle, and then we work the next stitch. And that's it for your yarn over the right hand needle.